Join us as we delve into some of the hot topics that both unite and divide us. We won't always agree, but let's commit to having those difficult conversations and open up some thought-provoking dialogue so that together we can start the process of getting back together. Listen, we've thought about it. We've even thought about it. Now let's talk about it with yours truly, James Kirkland, on the Intellectual Stew.
Pulling their hair out because they can't pay a light bill, you know what I'm saying? Or they can't buy some red bottles when they want to buy them or whatever, you know. But some people going through like issues, man, life changing issues. You know, if anything in the last 4 or 5 years, certain things should have humbled us, man. I mean, the pandemic, you know what I'm saying? I mean, all the things that life changed in our lives, I mean, instantly, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, overnight, we couldn't go outside. We could go to the hospitals. You couldn't get, they were overcrowded. I mean, people couldn't go to their jobs. I mean, people who worked in buildings for years, all of a sudden had to work from home. Then all of a sudden curfew. I mean, all these things, man, I couldn't go get a haircut. All these different things were transpiring where life changed instantly. And you know what it showed us? It showed us we were touchable. Mm-hmm. But in those moments, those of us who had faith wasn't ever worried, man. You understand? I mean, how many people got rich during the pandemic? You know, some people turned those, man. I mean, they used that moment. I mean, this Dennis Pittman. If you're gonna be in life's valley, you might as well learn valley tactics. Or else you're gonna sit there and just unalive in the valley. No, you better learn how to survive in the valley, and then you survive until you can thrive.
Yeah.
And faith gets you through the surviving moments until you are at a place in life where you can thrive. Let me see what Jackie said. Jackie said, 3 of my sons have been murdered, and I'm still walking by faith that at least one will get justice. Oh, yeah. And that's her story. She's had 3 sons. And some of us some of us talk about what we're going through.
Yeah.
And people on this line right now going through real life issues, man. And you don't, and you think you haven't been a product of grace or a recipient of grace, man? Come on, how?
Yeah. One of the things that I encourage most of us to do is to know that your situation is not the worst situation, and it can be a difficult thing. But the idea is you can find someone who has gone through more than what you're going through, and probably, Doc, one of the perfect examples. You know, I went to the National Baptist Congress one year. There was a couple who was there before, and they had a T-shirt on with their 4 children, a picture of their 4 children on the T-shirt. Wow. And people were asking, what the T-shirt meant, and the teacher allowed them to talk about it. Their oldest, who was 21, was driving with the 3 other children in the car. Jeez. They have an accident, run off the road into a body of water.
No.
And all 4 of their children passed in one day. One day. They still were sane. They still were saintly. They still were satisfied with life. That can only be God. Most parents think about the trauma of losing one. So if this sister has lost 3, if that family lost 4, then come on now. That it sometimes put things in perspective for those who have not gone through what others are going through.
That's deep. That's deep. And it has to be faith. But first of all, it has to be grace.
Yes.
That keeps you from, Jackie, losing your mind.
Yes.
Or from going out with a baseball bat or trying to go out and do something to somebody else because of what happened to you. That's grace. But then it has to be faith. And I've had conversations with you. We've talked. Jackie and I, that's my big sister. So we talk. Yeah. So I get it. Go ahead.
The fact that she's still here is a testimony to the power of God. Yeah. Still wants justice for her sons. Yeah. But at the same time, she hadn't let go of life.
Yeah. That's good
and
stuff.
and you can be alive and stop living.
That deserves a sermonic pause. You can be alive and stop living.
Mm.
Yeah. And here we are again with the part about being alone and and how long to be alone, all those types of things, right? Because that's the perfect time for the enemy to come in. And what does the enemy usually come in with? He usually comes in with something like fear, and we say, here we and this is the fact: when we lack faith, consider this thought: when we lack faith, fear fills the gaps.
Yeah,
and fear, here it is, loves to dress up as logic. Fear likes to make itself make sense. It wants to give justification of why you should be afraid or why you deserve to be afraid. It dresses up as logic. Does that make sense?
Always.
Dennis Pippen, can you imagine that? When you fail to operate in faith, then you leave a gap. You leave a hole. When somebody's depressed, there's a void in their life usually, and that void needs to be filled. And you can either fill it with flowers or you can fill it with trash, right? So when we lack faith, something needs to fill that gap where faith should be. And so when faith is not where faith is supposed to be, then fear shows up and says, "Here I am. Let me get that." And when it says, "Let me get that," it loves to dress itself up. It'll put a mask on. It'll put the right suit on. It'll put on some J's. It'll put on some 1s or some 11s. It'll put on all whatever to make itself look the way it's supposed to look because it dresses up as logic. I should feel this way. I deserve to grieve longer. I heard somebody today say, I hear people, I say this all the time. We stay on the healing journey sometimes a long time and never ever get to healed because some of us wear healing as a badge of honor. Like we should, and I just say I'm in this process, leave me alone, I'm healed. I understand, I get it. But if we're striving to heal, to me, and I know that I saw you look at me kind of crazy. That's kind of like, to me, the pharmaceutical sales company steadily putting people on medication, knowing that they'll never be healed, or they'll be cured, right? Mm-hmm. So if I desire to be healed, like you said in the beginning of this thing, when I kept experiencing the void or whatever, not being able to handle certain things, you said that I need to do the work, right? Or some work I need to do. So in healing, if we're doing the work at a certain point, we should at least be better. And that's what
and part of that work is being or feeling what you're feeling, and processing those feelings.
Okay.
And sometimes when we are alone, we process them and sometimes we don't. And that's the danger of just putting yourself in isolation. And I would say that is 100% of the time when you put yourself in isolation. What I tell members who have had great losses, I'll give you a Sunday. All right. But after 3 or 4 or 5 Sundays, where do you think you're going? Do you think you're drawing closer to God or are you drifting further away?
Yeah.
And I always tell people now, when people come, leave them alone. Just let them feel whatever they feel, experience whatever they experience. The late Dr. O.C. Brand used to always say, he said, I hate to see someone who's getting stronger and they come to church and run into a member who is not as strong as they are.
Mm.
And here they are, they're holding it all together. Somebody who wasn't even related to them comes and falls on their shoulder and just start crying.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. We
like
give
one on good time.
Yeah. Right. We have to be strength for others.
Yeah. And that's what Paul meant when he said, "You with your spiritual restore such a one." Hey. So when we got people that are broken still trying to restore other people because of that, and that's where in the grace gap, that's where the ego part comes in, right? Because the ego is what allows us, Jackie Dennis, to put that mask on.
Yes.
To look like we're okay. You know what I'm saying?
And we allow some folks to remain in the room, and we should put them out.
That's what it is. Yeah. And people, some people, because some people think they belong in the room, they deserve, and that room, and that's where the maturity comes in, right? Yes. That's, but that's a person, like I said, who's operating in that ego, and that ego will keep you from receiving grace. Some people had a zeal of God, had the zeal for God, but refused to acknowledge the power. You know what I'm saying? So they look the part. You got a whole bunch of people that really do look the part. That's what that ego does. That ego makes, it's that mask. I can go see Shemaine. That's my barber. I can go see Shemaine every Thursday and never look like I need a haircut. Right? I can dress it up, put on a suit or the right outfit and and look good or whatever. But I can be broken, and I did it. But you know what, man? When I was going through my stuff, though, especially after the divorce, I would go to church, but I was so out of it. I wasn't wearing suits. I was sitting in the balcony for a while. At first, I didn't go to my own church. I was going to somebody else's church. Like I said, I'm going to go, like you said, go into another area. And then I started coming back to my church, and I started warming my hand by the fire. So I got on hoodies and jeans, sitting up in the balcony. You know what I'm saying? And one day, my pastor said, "Kirk, I sure wish you would come sit a little closer to me." And I said, "Okay." And then all of a sudden, and I've been back ever since. Wow. But I think, but here it is. In that grace gap, I think part of what kept me from getting closer was guilt.
Yeah.
I felt like I had been gone so long. So many things keep us from receiving grace.
Yeah. And also remember, here's what I tell every brother, every sister. God does not use guilt and shame. Period. If you're feeling guilty and if you're carrying the weight of shame, that's not God, because He would never burden us down with those things. We self-indulge in those things. He wants to lift us up. I don't care how far we have sunken. He still wants to lift us up. But if
y'all believe that?
Yeah,
y'all believe that?
I mean, God doesn't use shame and guilt.
But the enemy would make you think He does.
Yes.
I mean, you mean He don't want you to eat out of all those trees?
You would think it's godly when it's satanic.
You mean He don't want you to eat? I mean, all these trees out here. You mean you can't eat out of all these? Why you can't eat out of all these trees? You feel what I'm saying? But that's how He dresses it up. God said, but in fact, God said you can eat out of all these trees, but this one. But the enemy comes and says the same thing. You mean to tell me you can't eat out of all these trees? Why God don't want you to eat out of all these trees? Because if you eat out of this tree, then is He scared you're going to be thinking like it? See, that's how the enemy will take. He'll take where faith should have been, put fear there, because fear is false evidence that appears real. Guilt and shame don't come from God. So in that moment, what we should do is return them to sender.
Yeah.
That's it. We should return them to sender. Do y'all believe that? Myra said, yes, she believes it. Anybody else, y'all believe that God doesn't use guilt and shame? And how many times have you allowed guilt and shame to block you from proceeding further, or to keep you in a place longer than you should have stayed? How many times have you has that ever happened to anyone else in the chat? Yeah. You allow guilt to keep you from doing things, shame to keep you from doing it. Doc, you've heard me say it before, so you'll forgive me. Dennis, I think you've heard me say it too, and it's just a metaphor. But I used to let guilt and shame use me, but when my middle finger started going up, my stress level started going down a whole lot more. I promise you. I'm not physically going around sticking up my middle finger at people, but I'm telling you, guilt and shame don't live here no more. I promise. That was one of the things that made me successful back in the day. Was I didn't have a fear of loss. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? It was ego, because it really wasn't who I was. I was acting that part. to be successful. But when I came home, I went right on back in my shell. Went right on back to it. I was in a house full of people, but still felt like I was all alone.
Yeah.
And spent a whole lot of time by myself. Yeah. But I put that mask on.
Yeah. And also think about this, man. You said something when you are around people that you know love and care for you, but you still feel like you're by yourself. So when we have lost someone through any type of disconnection, whether that's death or the ending of a relationship, we have to know that there are still people in our lives who want to remain connected to us. And we have to work to stay connected to one another. You can't maintain a friendship and never engage someone. You cannot maintain any relationship when you sever ties. And God made us relational creatures, so we need other people. And that's another reason we have to watch when we isolate how we use it, what we do when we're using it. I'd rather go into a solitary way with the Lord, spend time in prayer, reading scripture. If I'm doing that, that's one thing. If I am bemoaning my situation and I'm getting more and more depressed, that's something totally different.
Jackie got a question. Can you read that on the screen? Jackie said, I've always found myself being the tow truck for everyone. And now I'm in a mental state of where's the tow truck? Where's the tow truck for the tow truck? She said, does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, the idea that, the idea that we need someone to help us.
Yeah. And
when you are the one who is helping, there may be you need to probably seek God and say, look, show me someone who can help me. If I'm going to help these 100 people, show me at least one person that I can call on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the people we're blessed, the people we bless are not the people that turn around and bless us.
Yeah. And Jackie had such a good heart. I mean, Jackie, we met on Facebook, and I told her I was doing one of my events in Arkansas, and we had never really had a conversation over the phone. She said, "Ooh, do you need food? Let me cater it. Let me get a caterer for you." And then it went so well. The next time she said she found the location and catered it. You know what I'm saying? She just had a heart to serve, pick me up from the airport, just being a big sister, you know what I'm saying? And me and Jackie, and the only time we've ever met in person is to go do something with the event. We met at the event the first time. I didn't know who she was. She walking on it. Look, this woman then purchased food for 30 people at my event. And she's walking on the sidewalk. And I'm like, are you Jackie? She's like, yes. And we just hugged and been cool ever since then. And every time I've seen her since then has been something. And I'm saying it to say she has a heart to serve. So I feel her when she says that she's been a tow truck, but now she's tired. And now she's at a point where she's looking for reciprocation. And I get it. I get it. And you deserve it, Jackie. You do.
Yes. God may just give it from a different source than the people that she gave it to.
Yeah. Alicia said that's why therapists have therapists.
Amen. I can say amen to that.
She's by training a therapist as well, so she can relate to it as well. She can relate to it as well. That's she. Look, I use all y'all therapists. I'm glad ain't nobody sent me a bill yet. Thank God. But I call you in a heartbeat and have a conversation. In fact, we need to talk soon. But I will call you in a heartbeat, Dr. Evans. We've been talking, and you and I have only met 2 or 3 times in person, but we've maintained a friendship. And I think that time was because my son was going to a baseball camp, and he was going to be there all day, and I needed somewhere to go to church while I was in Starkville, Mississippi, and Dr. Evans was in Columbus, Mississippi, which is about 30 minutes away. So I went to his church. He let me pray altar call, and he's brought me back to preach a couple of times since then. And we just been cool ever since then. I was on my way. I was on my way to do my event in Arkansas. Told him what I was going to do. He said, "How much it cost?" He said, "Check your cash app." I'm like, "Whoa!" I transferred that money so fast to those people who, but People just sow seeds, man, because they believe in what we're doing, and I appreciate that. And a lot of that is because I walk by faith. I don't have anything else but my faith. Everything else had left me. Everything else had failed me. Everything that when the Midas touch literally turns into a mud touch, and the stuff that used to work don't work no more, you don't have nothing left but faith. Now, it's the sad part about it is that we have to get so fragile and frail in what we were doing before we realized that we had faith. You know what I'm saying? Because we forgot sometimes. But faith, it didn't ever leave. We always had access to the same grace. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm just talking tonight. And I've had you on here. We've been on here for an hour, so I ain't mean to keep you this long. I'm sorry. But I really, anybody else have any questions for Dr. Evans or for us or any testimonies? The phone number's right there. If you want to call in, you're welcome to call in. The link, I pinned it earlier. If you want to come on the video, you're welcome to come on the video. And if you got a testimony, something you want to share, how this might have blessed you tonight. I didn't know how the conversation was really going to go. I just knew I had to share with Doc that I thought I made a good mental health decision yesterday. And I'm going to stick with that. I believe that now. I'm not mad at the church. I ain't mad at anybody. I'll be back next Sunday. You know, I'm looking forward to it. You know what I'm saying? I'll be back. But that day, I needed to sit it out. Yeah. And the day ended well. You know, I went to work, went out to dinner later on that day. You know, that day ended well. You know, I had so I didn't dwell in a state of depression. You know, that wasn't it. But I feel like if I would have made a different decision, I probably would have been in a different mood. And if that mood would have affected me negatively or adversely, then that wasn't where I needed to be in that moment. Now, Dennis, I love church. You know, Kirk been preaching 30 years. You know what I'm saying? I love church. So, to me, I look at church, Doc, I don't know if you use this one or not, but I look at church like the spiritual gas station. And so once a week, at least, I like to go by and get my fill up, you know. So that's, and I don't necessarily go to the gas station to hang out. I know they got Buc-ee's and QT and all these big gas stations now. That's not really where I go to hang out. You know, I go to get gas. A lot of times I don't even go in. I pay at the pump. But so I go get what I need and then I move on. And that's what I use church for, you know. Doc, but that's where I'm at. Anybody have any questions for Pastor Evans? I'm not going to hold him much longer. Doc, you have anything you want to share to encourage the people and to see if they have any questions before we get you out of here?
I would just encourage everybody, just stay with God. Regardless of how the tide turns, how the world turns, stay with God. He is the surest thing that we have ever encountered. And it's all because he never changes. His affection, his love for us never changes. His power never changes. He is the same God every day. And he is the sure thing in my life, and he is the sure thing in our lives. So just stay with God.
Doc, I appreciate you. Anybody gonna stay with it? I'm gonna stay with it. I'm gonna roll with it. And that's me. And that's not, that's not even up for debate. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes people they'll come up and they'll say, you're a slave, I ain't even debating that no more. I ain't got time for that. Y'all can do that on your own time. I'm rolling with this. No, I'm not right. I'm not rolling. But Doc, I'm gonna let you on out of here. We'll talk soon because I do need to talk to you. But y'all don't leave yet. We're gonna talk for a few more minutes. Then we're gonna roll on out. But Doc, I appreciate you, man. Love you, bro, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you so much, brother. You take care, Doc.
Yep. All right, man. That's my guy, man. He always shows up whenever I need him. And he always has a fresh, biblical, grounded perspective. And he's not going to deviate. And I like that. I like that about him. Good, great friend. So we talked about grace tonight. We've talked about faith. We're going to talk about Joseph's journey a little bit. Joseph was betrayed, lied on, locked up, but he kept going. And that's what I want to encourage somebody tonight. You might have been betrayed. You might have been lied on. You might have been locked up. Whatever it is that you've gone through, whatever it is you've grown through, you're growing through it. You're better because you went through it. And the thing is, you don't allow that prison or that pit. Where's this question? Okay, hold on. Do you think church? Oh, I can get him back. Hold on. You want me to answer that? You want him to answer? Let me get him back. Doc, if you're still listening, come back on. Hold on. Let me get him back. Somebody has a question for you. Period. Can you come back for a minute? I'm going to try to get him back. Anybody else in the audience? Now, don't jump on this. Don't jump on Dennis, but I want your personal perspective, Alicia, Myra, those who are listening. Do you think, okay, you want mine too? I'll give you mine in a minute. Do you think a church is necessary for spiritual growth? That's a good question. What do y'all think in the audience? I'm going to give you my comment in a minute, and hopefully I get Doc back. If not, somebody else in the audience that want to come on and answer that question, answer. Do you think, that's a good question, a church is necessary? I think I kind of answered it a minute ago. If you listen to my answer about the gas station, I'm trying, how you spell spiritual? There it is. No, I'm slow, Dennis. All right, that's Dennis's question. Dennis said, do you think, he came back. Do you think church is necessary for spiritual growth? Y'all answer it in the comments, and I'm grabbing Dr. Evans. He is so nice. I appreciate you. Doc, I'm sorry. I know you about to go get in the shower, pop you some popcorn, and watch the game. I know, I'm sorry. But Dennis Pippin had a question, and we got to answer it for it. He said he loves you as a guest. Myra said yes. But what do you think? Do you think church is necessary for spiritual growth? Answer yes, and then tell why. Or yes or no, and then tell why.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would say whenever you find the fellowship where you're being fed the word of God, where you're being embraced as a brother or sister, when you're being supported as just a human, as a person, I don't think there's another organization that can do what the organism does. I encourage individuals, look, if you go into a place where you know no one, you have brothers and sisters there if you are a Christian. Make that bond. Now, the caveat is finding the right fellowship.
Yes, it.
And when you find that right fellowship, you know it. It's not a perfect fellowship, but it's a fellowship that's loving. And remember now, the world offers us many things, but the world never offers us that love that we all so desperately need.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Dennis, you cool with that answer? Before he leaves, then when he get off this time, he's gone. So go ahead, type fast if you got another question or whatever. Go ahead. Myra said yes. Anybody else have an answer? If it's no, say no. If whatever your answer is, I want your honest answer. Now, Doc gave his answer. I'm gonna give my answer. Myra gave her answer, yes.
And while you think about that, let me add the other part onto it. There is a you know, that fellowship is a big part of the acceptance, but the other part of it is you being able to exercise your gifts.
Mm.
And I always tell people, I don't care if it's singing, whatever gift you have, when you have that base of a supportive church, people can check you out, and then others will say, look, that person's okay because they're a part. And one of the things that I admired about the gospel singer Lee Williams so much is that he kept that connectivity to the church where he started singing before any of us ever knew him. God can extend your territory and you still remain rooted to that church congregation, that family that first accepted you. Joyce Meyer, she has never pastored the church. Her pastor said he knew something special about her ministry when her CDs started outselling his. You know, so look, when we have a gift to use it for the body of Christ, I still think we need that base of a church home that gives us legitimacy. Because when a person comes to me with a ministry, the first question I ask, not how long you've been in ministry, what church are you a part of? Because you got to be a part of the body of Christ and not an independent consultant.
That's good. I like that. And this and he said it. And people have said a word a couple times. Dennis, fellowship, Christian fellowship. I look at life kind of like a garden, right? And church, and then you have a bunch of seeds, and the seed needs to be to get the maximum growth or the maximum potential needs to be planted in the proper place, right? And when it's planted properly in the proper place, where somebody can literally cultivate those gifts, somebody who understands those gifts, somebody who's been where you're going, and they water that gift. They water it with the word. That's what the Bible teaches us. We water it with the word, and we start to understand it. And and the thing that really happens more than anything is when we really, really, really get to a place of self-discovery. When we really understand ourselves and our identity through God, through Christ. When we really understand that, then what happens is I become more me. I become me intensified, right? I become me to the 10th power when I really, really, really operate in that faith and know who I am, because I'm not just on a superficial journey. This journey ends somewhere. There's a culmination when it's all over. People don't talk about heaven no more. I don't know why, but I'm still living with HIV. I'm living with heaven in view. I believe that when it's all said and done, that I'm living to live again. And when we live with that expectancy, right? When we understand that there is something after this, then that's the faith that drives us. That's why Joseph, although he was in the pit, when he got to the palace, he can look back and say, you know what? I went through all those processes to get to the place of God.
Yes.
And see, God uses processes to get us to his place. And sometimes on this journey, life will get to life in Dennis. It starts life in, man. And you need a recharge. What better place than to be able to go somewhere where people are going through the same things? But like Doc just said a minute ago, he didn't say it, but I was thinking it. Too many people judge the church because they went to the wrong church.
Yeah.
And I think that's an unfair judgment.
Yeah.
People judge the church at large, Universal Church, because you went to a couple of bad churches.
Yes.
That don't make sense. Does that make sense, Dennis? But I'm gonna let Doc go now. Doc, you got anything you want to say one more time?
No, man. I was just still listening, so I heard.
Okay, you were still listening. Okay, good. And Dennis, anything else, sir? Dennis is an athlete, so he understands that exercising thing and using your gift. So he played ball at Kent State. Yeah, he played ball at Kent State. And his daughters are athletes. They're going to probably be D1 athletes playing basketball and stuff. So He's doing his thing. All right, I'm gonna let you go now, Doc. We'll talk to you next time. Appreciate you.
Be blessed, bro.
All right. Anybody still there? Are we okay? Good. Dennis said it does make sense. Any more questions before we get out of here? This has been a good open mic night. Now, listen, I am desiring to get to the point where you all come on here and do the talking. I want to sit back and I want to answer the questions or facilitate the conversation. And really, most of y'all in this little community that we're this Stu crew that we're developing, most of you all are, encouragers of each other anyway. Y'all have all been through something. And you know how to articulate yourself. And that's what makes this conversation profitable. I believe what makes it profitable every week when we jump on here. Okay. All right. So I thank you all for joining me tonight on another episode of the Intellectual Stew. I don't know. I might do another open mic night next week. I might do another one next week because I want to talk. But I want us to get to the point where you're comfortable. This is a safe space. This is a safe space. And I honestly want to see us all better. That's why we always ride with the tagline. But this tagline, because at the end of the day, we all want to be better. And all of us want to be better. We're on the path to better. Alicia, I appreciate you for making that post this week. She invited people to the live. Now, they might not have came this week, but at some point they're going to. But she talked about her personal experience, and when she used the term we quite a bit, she said we have these conversations. We are a safe space because we are a community. We are on the Intellectual Stew. So y'all just keep rocking with me. Keep rocking with me. If you want to help support the platform, there the Cash App is. You can see it. There the Zelle phone number is, and there the PayPal is. If you want to buy T-shirts. T-shirts are available. I have some smalls, mediums, larges, and one XL left. That's all I have. The XL is in blue. The other ones are going to be in red, white, or black. But I do have some shirts available. They are $25. I will still split the shipping with you. So I'll do it for, even though I'll pay more because shipping is $6, but I'll pay the $3.50. You pay the $2.50. So you give me $27.50 and you can get it. Let me show you what the shirts look like again for those who have not seen them. It says the slogan that I say every night when I close: the world is changing. Why do you remain the same? Some of them have the words on the front and the logo on the back. I know what some of y'all are thinking. Nope, it's not. I'm going to let y'all fill in the blank on that one. It's not. And then the other ones, these have the logo on the front. Thank you. I appreciate that, brother Dennis. These have the logo on the front. And there's nothing on the back of this. It just has the logo on the front. Now, these are smalls. Anybody want those? I'll do those for $17.50. So send me $20. And I got 2 white ones in the smalls if you want this. Send me $20 and I'll ship those to you. I'll ship those to you. But anybody want a shirt, hit me up on the inbox. By next week, I will have them up on the website so you can go and purchase those. I thought I was going to have it ready for you tonight, but ran into some technical difficulties. That's what I get for not knowing how to do certain things technically. But I'll fix it, and by next week, I'll have it ready for you. Check it out. Tonight has been real because it started with a confession, but it ended with us coming up with a connection. And that's what I want us to always do. I want us to connect over our experiences, over all the things that we go through, and we share those experiences one with the other. And then when we come out stronger, because guess what we learn? We learn that we're not the only ones that go through. That's such a powerful place to be in. We're not the only ones. Dennis, you're not the only one that goes through. You're not the only one. Jack, you've been through a lot, promise you, but we all have our relative things. Myra, all of us. But if we got somebody that's going to encourage us, that's going to help us get through these dark times, right? Because times will come. But when those times come, we can triumph over those times, right? The reason why we can triumph over those times is because we understand what the end looks like. Listen, faith is necessary. And the journey, though it's long, it has purpose. Joseph didn't get to the place of God overnight, but he never stopped dreaming. Even when people were trying to discount his dreams, even when they threw him in the pit, he was sold into slavery. He never stopped dreaming, and neither should you. If tonight touched you, do me a favor, drop something in the comments, share the episode, tell somebody that everywhere you go, tell them you're on the path to better, because trust me, it might not, even though sometimes your promised land looks like a problem land, but really it's a prosperous land. You just got to go through it. But before you log off, remember this one thing, and I say it every night as in closing. The world is changing, but my question for you is, why do you remain the same? Y'all have a good night, and I look forward to seeing you all again on next week. I promise I love y'all. Y'all be good.
Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
Powerful and provocative. Prophetic and practical.
Have you ever found yourself?
Are you dating for that person?
Informative and
I feel
inspirational.
every bit of it. Like, I'm not trying to waste my
How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do.
Intellectual stew.
Come on, let's talk about it with me, the Mind Messiah.
Intellectual